So I was sitting on the couch with my husband a couple weeks ago, and I pointed out that March 15th was the 1-year anniversary of finding out that I had cancer. And I said I agree, but I know that I will be counting March 15s for the rest of my life. Hey there, fiber friends. I'm Sarah. Welcome to a Yarn Lab video. This is a video that I have been planning to film since about March 15th, but unfortunately, this past month has been one of a number of the types of viruses that 7-year-olds and 3-year-olds tend to bring home from school and daycare coming through our house. And so things have been a little bit flying from the seat of our pants here for a while. Tangent, we're mostly feeling better now. Today I've got my spinning project in front of me. In fact, this is a spinning project that you guys selected. About a month ago, I posted a little short asking what I should spin next. And I gave options between doing a sock spin or a sweater spin. And I could lie and say that it was an overwhelming pick for the sock spin, but I think it was actually closer to 50-50, but I am doing the sock spin. I think that that's the responsible choice for me right now, considering that I have a sweater spin from last year that still needs to be knit up. And you know, I think I just need a project that I don't have to think too deeply about. Plus, I've been wearing my hand spun socks just all the time, and I really do need another pair. But today's video isn't a spinning video. Today I want to talk to you about, as my little introduction mentioned, about how I'm feeling now that I am 1 year post-cancer diagnosis. And in about a week and a half, I will ring the bell at my last treatment appointment and hopefully close this chapter of my life for good. So like I said, on March 15th, 2023, I found out that I likely had breast cancer. I say likely had breast cancer because that was the day of my mammogram ultrasound, which resulted in the radiologist coming to tell me that I absolutely needed a biopsy as soon as possible, and don't worry, they got a good look at your lymph nodes and your lymph nodes appear clear. That, combined with the radiology report that we got later that evening, told my husband and I that although the radiologist couldn't officially say that I had breast cancer, the radiology report was scored as high as you could score a report for suspicion of cancer without a known cancer diagnosis. And my husband, who is a physician, said that, you know, in his experience, when the radiologist is that certain that it looks like cancer, it is cancer. So despite not having the biopsy yet, March 15th is when I found out I definitely had breast cancer. If you want to learn a little bit more about my diagnosis story, I do have my cancer story playlist linked below, but that's not what today's video is about. Today is where I'm at a year since finding out I had cancer, having undergone 6 rounds of intensive TCHP chemotherapy over the summer, having undergone, well, Tuesday after next will be another 12 rounds of just the Herceptin Perjeta immunotherapy, having had a full vasectomy on my right breast with a reconstruction surgery all in one go in the fall, where I am and how I'm feeling about where I am now. So although that journey was a long one and a very hard one at times, I am lucky enough to say that today I am officially no evidence of disease. In fact, I got that news about a month after my mastectomy surgery, when my doctors confirmed that the pathology report from surgery showed clean margins on everything that came out, no evidence of spread beyond my breast, and a really incredibly powerful response to the TCHP chemotherapy I did over the summer. And when I got that pathology result, and I actually shared that with you all in a spinning video, again, linked below, it left me feeling, I don't know if numb to it was the right word. Everybody around me was ready to celebrate, and I just couldn't. I felt, well, Although I had a no evidence of disease, I still had many rounds of Herceptin and Perjeta treatment ahead of me to complete. And I was still living, I think, too close to that initial horrible fear that comes with a cancer diagnosis, and was still living very much in a how can we be certain place. So I had a lot of fear and anxiety in my life. I didn't feel like I was close enough to the end of the line to really be able to celebrate, although obviously that was the best possible outcome for my surgery and for my chemotherapy. I just, at the time in the fall, I couldn't process it in a meaningful way. Since then, I know that some other YouTubers who've recently had cancer this year, being Grace Helbig and Hank Green, have talked about their feelings coming to the other side of their own cancer treatments, and I will link both of their videos below. They're absolutely worth a watch if you are someone who's going through your own cancer treatment, or if someone in your life is going through and has just come out the other side. I identified very strongly with things that both of them said in those videos, and especially in that time period after my mastectomy surgery, having that pathology result and heading into the holiday season. And then the holidays were sort of a difficult place mentally, emotionally for me. I think that there was this pent-up sense of, after the year we've had, to just have a really incredible Christmas would somehow make everything better. And while we did have a great Christmas with my family, it was small. It was just our family out here in Alberta. It didn't give that sort of, and how could it, right? Like, no amount of holiday celebration is ever going to erase the year of your life that a cancer diagnosis causes. So, I mean, Christmas kind of left me again in a funk and, you know, feeling let down that I guess that I was still in this cancer world, this cancer state. That brought us into January and then into February, when I and my son Marshall took some time away from our family here in Alberta and flew home to my hometown in Ontario. And that trip was actually, I think, really important and good for me, because I come from a big Italian family in the Sioux with lots of cousins who all are mostly around. They all mostly still live there. And I'm kind of the black sheep that has gone ahead and moved not just out of town, but out of province. And so going through something as big as cancer without that family support in person, also without all of my childhood friends, you know, I think that it was really important that I took that trip, and I really did enjoy it. And it did, I think, contribute to some of the emotional healing that I needed to do. And now I think we're getting as close to normalcy while still being on treatment as I think that you can. And I'm just so eagerly looking forward to having my last treatment come up and to ringing that bell. I didn't ring after the 6 rounds of TCHP. I know some people choose to ring after the hard chemo is done, but to me that was just the beginning of the battle. It wasn't even, I hadn't even had surgery yet. I was still convinced that I would need radiation. So I'm looking forward to my last treatment, to ringing that bell on this chapter of my life, on breast cancer, on, you know, very firmly hoping and believing that it is put to bed and that I won't have to have it rear its ugly head again, ever, hopefully. But I mean, you can see some trepidation in the way that I say that, and I think that I do still find myself living in that place of uncertainty and fear of how can I really know or trust. I mean, you can never go back, right? So prior to my diagnosis, I think that I was very happily someone who was living in that world where fundamentally, you know, although the reality is no one is guaranteed any set number of years. I think that fundamentally, I believed, why wouldn't I get 70, 80, 90 years, right? And the facing of my own mortality with the cancer and with where I am now, I just can't feel that way anymore. And I want to so terribly badly. But yeah, it's no evidence of disease. It's likely a curative response, and yet I think I will spend at least the next couple of years feeling like this isn't the end of it. Let's go for a run. This is some footage that I recorded a couple weeks ago while I was out on a run. Let's go for a run and dive a little bit more into this sort of feeling and fear that I've been sitting with post-cancer treatment. I'm not really post, but post-cancer. Out of breath because I just jogged really, but ran a kilometer, which doesn't seem like it should be much, but it is. So hopefully the audio is okay. Should have probably brought a mic with me, but I didn't. Oh. That stop sign is basically exactly 1 kilometer from my driveway. And all summer long, throughout chemo, I made, you could call it pilgrimages, to that stop sign and back as often as I was able to. And what should be a really easy run for me became progressively more difficult until just walking to that stop sign and back took basically everything I had. I wore my Garmin, it's under my sleeve, throughout the summer, throughout chemo. There's a car coming out to grab my dogs. Where was I? Yeah, I made pilgrimages, if you will, to that stop sign as often as I could. Eventually, just walking to and from that stop sign really took everything I had. But I was always able to do it, which was very important to me. I will put in some future Sarah here with what it looked like, what chemo looked like on my basic cardiovascular abilities, and how each round drove me to become more anemic. We did blood work and watched my red blood cells plummet, my hematocrit plummet over the course of 6 rounds of TCHP. So just walking left me out of breath, more so than I am now, having run.
So it's funny how the way that you perceive things having had happened isn't always exactly the way that it happened. This was a baseline pace of about 7.5, 7 2/3 minutes per kilometers prior to chemotherapy. And then I had my first round on April 28th. And you can see that after each round, my pace got longer, so more minutes per kilometer on that walk. And then I improved over the 3 weeks, a round of chemo, and things got slow, and I improved. Round of chemo, things got slow, and I improved. Chemo, slowing, improving. In my head, as we progressed towards these last 3 rounds of chemo, it felt for sure like that 2-kilometer walk got more and more torturous. But it looks like really I was pretty consistently poor at walking it. And maybe what really happened is that it was longer intervals in between getting outside for that little bit of exercise. But I mean, still interesting to see how each round of chemo really knocked me back. Um, yeah, what a summer.
And then after chemo, I began actually running that distance again and did a 5K run for the cure in October before my surgery.
Have a good run, mommy.
Say yay!
Yay!
All right, Marshall, say yay! Yay! And during that time, running started to bring on a new form of anxiety for me. One that I have been struggling with on and off. And that is every time I get my body moving again, every time I try and build up some activity in my life, the aches and pains of exercise come with that. And at 3 o'clock in the morning, it's really hard to convince my cancer survivor brain that those aches and pains aren't, or that they are normal, that they are just the normal things that happen when a now 36-year-old tries to go from sedentary to active, that they are not, in fact, metastases the way that my brain at 3 o'clock in the morning makes them out to be, right? And so I found that a big barrier to getting back to this part of normal in my life, this part where I am consistently, or more consistently at least, active, comes with this extra level of anxiousness that I don't know when, if ever, I'll be able to put behind me. I don't know how, as a cancer survivor, I'll ever put that fear of metastases to bed. If you know, let me know. I spoke with one of my uncles who had skin cancer many years ago now. He does say that he now doesn't worry about cancer all the time anymore. I'm only 1 year out, so I'm still firmly in the worrying about cancer all the time period. Anyways, that was a little fun bringing you guys on a run with me. I guess that kind of is what it sums up everything else I wanted to say about sort of the anxiety place that I'm living in, being 1 year post-cancer. And I mean, there's more to it than just sort of the fear of cancer-based anxiety. There's also a little bit of the that like pressure that now it's time to get back to normal, whatever that is, and to seize the day and make the most out of every minute that I have in front of me. And sometimes that can lead to a little bit of failure to launch, or sort of I've got so many things to do and the time and capability in front of me to do it, and so let's procrastinate and paralysis and all that good stuff. But I think that the biggest thing for me is definitely that voice in the back of my head that saps away my confidence in the longevity of my cancer-free state. And I don't think that there's that much that I can do about that voice other than to do my darndest to ignore it, or to channel that into a fire to sort of live every day right now to its fullest. But yeah, so that's mental health 1 year post-cancer. I would say medium well. Physically, it's hard to say. I'd say mostly back to normal, but still some side effects I suspect from that Perjeta Herceptin treatment that I'm still on, and can't wait to be on the other side of the last round of that so I can really figure out what my new physicality is. I do still have some lingering neuropathy in my fingertips and toes. Although whether it's true neuropathy or whether it's that the blood supply may have been compromised somewhat to the tips of my extremities remains up for debate. But, you know, I definitely know that there is a long-term effect of my chemo there. As for the surgery, like I said, I went ahead with the full mastectomy and did the implant-based reconstruction immediately. And that was, for me, the correct choice at the time. I would say that I healed fine and was actually surprised at how quickly I was able to return to a normal full range of motion. There is, when I go sort of over my head right up here, there is some tugging and pulling in my armpit where they did remove some lymph nodes. And if you really massage into it, you can definitely feel like there is a little bit of what they call cording in there, which is sort of like a scar tissue that tugs. So I tend to try and be aware of that and really stretch into that. It's kind of, you know, if you've ever done any yoga or, you know, exercise where you're really getting into your flexibility, you kind of want to stretch a little bit into that pain in order to improve your range of motion. And so that's how I would describe that tugging, painful feeling under there. I have had a little bit of, I don't know if complication is the word, but I had some seroma, so a fluid buildup in the breast tissue, or lack thereof, about a month post-op. And we followed that, and it has resolved more or less over time. But overall, I don't think that the silicone implant is going to be the long-term solution for me. It was the right thing at the time, and if you look at my surgery videos, I talk about it at length. As far as getting normalcy as quickly as possible post-cancer. But I think right now I'm still kind of feeling like the tram flat, the tummy tuck boob job situation might be in my future, but at least not for a year, I would think. And I'll talk about that more when/if that happens. But yeah, like I think right now it's sort of a feeling of eager anticipation of finally being done treatment so that I can dive back into as much of a normal life as possible with as few trips to Calgary for medical appointments as possible. Like just having those extra days back in my life, because, you know, each trip to Calgary does really suck a full day out of my schedule. Having those extra days back in my life, I'm super excited for. So, yeah. Anyways, I don't know if this video was helpful to you, but it was helpful to me. Like I have said throughout this process, sitting down, taking the time to sort of write out some of my ideas, talk through my feelings on my cancer journey with the internet, with you all, has been an important part of processing for me. Not that I've gone back and watched any of these videos again, but the process of making them has been a catharsis. It has been an important processing process, if you will, that I think has been vital to my mental health all along. And I know that in the past, when I have felt a little bit stuck or funky or blocked up over this whole thing, sitting down to finally process things in this format has helped me. So I am definitely glad that I have finally gotten around to doing that today. And again, I just want to thank everyone for all of your kind words in the comments here on my videos. It means absolutely the world to me. I do try and respond as often as I can, especially to people who are reaching out as they embark on their own cancer journeys. And I just, again, can't, reiterate enough how grateful I am to this little community that I am forming here on my YouTube channel. So I think I will close this out here. And next week we'll be back with your regular knitting, spinning, dyeing, what have you, fibery goodness. But yeah, I'm glad that I got this done. Thank you for bearing with me to the end and allowing me to process some of my feelings and emotions at my 1-year Cancerversary. Here's to many, 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 many more March 15th ahead of me. Bye for now.